right, welcome to another episode of the 49ers Rush podcast. I'm your host, as always, John Chapman, and I'm just wanting to continue this whole theme of what if Deebo gets traded? And let's go through different mock drafts on, things that I would accept from other teams. And I want to focus on the Eagles today because if we look at what the Eagles have to offer, it's very, very unique. They have a major need at wide receiver. Now, they are in the NFC, so I think they have to pay a little bit of a premium. They have 2 first-round picks this year and next year. This is one of the few kind of caveats where if I was to trade Deebo to the NFC, I would not want a bunch of picks. I want 2 first-rounders. I want a first-rounder this year, starting with pick 15, and I want a first-rounder next year. Now, they have the Eagles first-rounder, and they have the Saints first rounder. I'll even take the lesser of the first rounders next year. But that would be the ideal scenario where I could see, the Eagles would be okay with that. Perhaps I think this is a little bit of an overpay on the Eagles side. But again, the whole idea is if you're trading them to an NFC contender, they got to pay a premium. I think probably the more realistic option would be a first this year and a second next year because it is a top 15 pick. But if John Chapman's the GM, I'm saying, nope, I want 15 and your first next year. Now, I might offset that by adding like a 4th or a 3rd rounder next year. But I'll just put a 4th there. And you can kind of see on this, trade chart, they're not going to accept it. But I'm going to go ahead and force this trade because, again, I'm throwing Deebo in there. I don't want to trade Deebo. It's not really something that I want to do, but I think that it is a possibility now with all the things going on. So we're going to get the Eagles' 15th pick this year and a first-rounder next year to play with, which would be just an absolute blast as far as mock drafts go. But, again, I do not want to trade Deebo Samuel. That's not. But we got a first rounder this year and a first round next year. So let's start this draft and let's jump into it. And you can see it doesn't take long. 49ers jump on the clock right off the bat. You can kind of see some of the guys that are gone here. But, man, look at the people on the board. Drake London, Tyler Lindenbaum, Devontae White, the best defensive tackle in this class for me. Chris Olave, Sky Moore, Andrew Booth. There are so many studs. Did Trayvon Burks go? Did he go? Because that's one of the ones I want. I don't see him. He's not on their big board either. Let me say this. Treylon Burks is one of my favorite players in this draft. I have him rated as wide receiver number 2, but I get why some people do not like him. However, I judge wide receivers through the lens of Kyle Shanahan for this team, and that is one reason why I love him. Drake London, incredible. Olave, Calvin Ridley clone. Drake London, Mike Evans clone. What is it that you want? And you can see here at this wide receiver position, there are studs and studs galore. Do you want the best center in the class? I think it's way too early for him here, even though I love him. Zion Johnson. Great guard. Again, too early for me there. Malik Willis is still there. Jermaine Johnson. All right, now we're talking. Arnold Ebiketie, Trevor Penning. These are just names of players that you don't get to target. And, man, I'm telling you right now with Jermaine Johnson there, that's a top 5 player in my class at a premium position. He is an absolute freak, 6'5", 254. I would love this guy. If the question was you could swap Deebo for Jermaine Johnson, I still don't like it. But from a player building and a defense building perspective, team building, it's the most premium position next to quarterback. You could put wide receiver up there. This is hard for me because there's Jermaine Johnson, there's Drake London, and the other one that I would consider in this spot, Treylon Burks. Those are the 3. So having said that, I want to look to trade back. Let's see what we got. And you can kind of see this is the problem. Teams do not want to trade up. I don't want to trade back to 27. None of those guys are going to be there. I don't want to trade back to 31. None of those guys are going to be there. I don't want to trade back to 46. None of those guys are going to be there. So what do you do if you're the 49ers? Here you are. You're on the clock at 15. There's no real way to trade back in this situation and get, I want to trade back. I'd want to trade back about 5 spots and get Drake London. I'd want to get Treylon Burks, or I'd want to get Jermaine Johnson would be my pick. And you know what? We're stuck here. And so the 49ers are stuck here at 15, which is a good problem to have. You've got a lot of premium position players there. But, man, I'm telling you right now, if Jermaine Johnson's on the board, I'm not passing it. I understand that there's a void left from Deebo. I get that. I don't care. If Jermaine, he's a top 5 player in this class for me. Top 5 player in this class for me. We would have the greatest defensive end tandem. Maybe not Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa, but it would be up there. I'm taking Jermaine Johnson here. And that's what I would do if I was the GM. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slow this down, and I'm going to be willing to spend to jump back up because of all of the stuff that I got in the draft trade. I've got a first-round pick. I'm going to address this edge position. I'm taking Jermaine Johnson, and I'm going to hope I can trade back up for either Treylon Burks. Here we go. I made my pick, okay? So I took Jermaine Johnson. Man, I freaking love that. Now I'm going to watch until one of those guys goes off the board, and I'm going to try to trade up. Chris Olave's gone. Drake London's gone. Dang it. It didn't take long. What would it take to trade up with the Colts here to go get Treylon Burks? You know what? I don't want to do it. I'm just going to wait. I'm going to keep watching these wide receivers. He's still there. We're at pick 24. What would it take to get up here? Let's see here. Let's see. Let's see if we could get this pick by offering maybe 2 seconds. No, it's not even going to do it. What if we offered the first round pick we got next year? Would that be worth it to go get Treylon Burks? I think it would. Let's offer the trade to the Cowboys, and we got it. So you traded the future first to jump up here. I'm going wide receiver. I don't need to look at anything else. Did I miss? There he is, Treylon Burks. I'm taking this cat, and I am so happy. So, the 49ers. So basically, the question is this. If you could ask the question, would you be willing to trade Deebo Samuel for Jermaine Johnson on a rookie deal, 5-year deal, and Treylon Burks on a rookie 5-year deal? I think the answer would be yes. But again, for me, those are 2 top 10 players on my board. I love those 2 players. So for me, I don't even think it's a question. I would love that. And we get to keep all the other draft capital that we have in this draft. And so is Treylon Burks a Deebo replacement? No, he is not. He is a very different player. He has a lot of similar skill sets in the fact that he plays through tackles and is a crazy yak machine, but he's not near as fast. He's not near as shifty. He's not near as versatile, but he's a bigger bodied guy that you just got to get him the ball in space. And so now we're sitting here at 61, and we've got edge and wide receiver. Now, you could definitely go back to wide receiver. There's no doubt about that. Jalen Tolbert would be a great pick here. Troy Anderson, the 49ers have met with. And, we get into a lot of these same players on Pro Football Focus. So I want to spice it up. Dylan Parham would probably be my pick here. But I'm going to wait a little bit. I'm going to look at this. And you know what? I'm going to say, I want a stud wide receiver group if we're going to be moving away from, what it is that Deebo can do. And I'm going to go get Alec Pierce. I know we got Treylon Burks, who's a big guy. I'm going to go get another big, tall wide receiver, Alec Pierce, here at 61, which might be a little early, but I'm guaranteeing myself, man, come on now. Let's pick up this. Let's pause. There we go. Let's resume. Let's pick up the pace here, big guy. I don't think it's working. Here we go. So now we got Jermaine Johnson, Alec Pierce, Treylon Burks. We're getting some big targets for Trey out there. Here we are back on the clock. Marcus Jones is there in the 3rd round. Max Mitchell I like a lot. There's some more edge guys, but I don't want to play with that. Definitely not touching any more wide receivers. Man, Luke Fortner. I'm going to go Luke Fortner here, interior offensive line, and hope one of those corners falls to me at 105, and it does not look like that was the case. Let's jump over here to the corners. Let's see if one of those, yeah, they're all gone. Zion McCullen, again, I like him. He's not a slot guy. Demarion Mathis, he's a little closer to a slot guy, but I don't like him as much as others. I don't like it. So, little frustrated there. Even though we got our center, we've got 2 wide receivers. It's time to step out a little bit. Let's check the safety position. Maybe we can get somebody on the back end. Oop, wrong button. Try that one more time. Safety there. JT Woods is there. I took Verone McKinley in a lot of these situations, but I'm going to go JT Woods today and go pure speed at that 105 spot. So, it's interesting when we look at this and kind of just the way it went. We got Jermaine Johnson at 15. That's unreal. I don't even think that would be him getting out of the top 10 just seems crazy. He's just too clean a player. And Treylon Burks at 24. Man, I'm liking this draft, guys. I want to be really, really honest. I'm not the least bit upset. Kellen Deesh, he is still there. He fits kind of what we want to do completely. We've got a lot of different positions already tied up. Damon Clark, linebacker. There's some, Pierre Strong. Here we are at pick 134. We want to talk playmaker. You can kind of see the body and build very, very similar to Deebo. Even though he's a running back, he's somebody that could step in and kind of alleviate some of that playmaking in the run back. So I'm going to go Pierre Strong and try to bring as much playmaking ability into the backfield, into the wide receiver position. So we got 2 wide receivers, Alec Pierce and Treylon Burks, and now we got our speed guy. We keep looking through this. Curtis Brooks, defensive tackle. Jason Poe, this is somebody that the 49ers have met with. Let's just solidify that offensive guard position just in case Alex Mack doesn't come in. You drafted Luke Fortner, but Brunskill might slide into center. You bring in Poe, he can compete there. Here we are at pick 187. Some different positions that we need. Man, we still got to get a corner. We've got to get some corner guys. Sean Jolly, 5'9", 175. Daniel Jeremiah's alma mater. He talks about him all the time. Let's do that. I think Jack Jones is another guy as well, 5'11", Arizona State. But I want Sean Jolly, that small, shifty. I want somebody that can defend the slot fade. Not saying that's what he's going to be able to do at the next level. That's a big position jump, but I like his size. And what he'll be able to kind of bounce around on there. Noah Ellis, defensive interior. Matt Ariza, not taking him at all, no matter what. Oh, look at this tackle position. Cordell Volston. This might be a little early for him. North Dakota State, former Trey Lance teammate. I'm going to go him. He's a project player at the tackle position. I like it. I think that he would be a really fun guy to go with. Abram Smith, little bowling ball player. That'd be fun. But again, defensive interior, 6'3", 342. I want some more depth on the inside to plug that run just in case Kinlaw's not there. So I'm going to take that right there, and I like it. Marquand McCall and Cordell Volston at the end of the 6th round. And then we get down here to the last pick in the draft. And, man, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm looking wide receiver again. Reggie Roberson, 5'11", 192. A little shifty guy. Braylon Sanders. Why not? 6 foot 194. Let's do that. Let's go Braylon Sanders, wide receiver there. So let's look at this. If we do this Eagles trade, and I know I got a little fancy and jumped around a considerable amount, but if you told me at the end of the day, Jermaine Johnson and Treylon Burks for Deebo, which is equivalent, basically what this trade came out to, because we got their first rounder this year and first round next year. Then we traded that first round next year for Treylon Burks. I would not be upset in the least. Alec Pierce, I think that's a hell of a pick at 61. I'm very, very high on him. Luke Fortner coming in. Center, we got our safety. Biggest question marks here. Our slot corners, not ideal. We did strengthen the interior of our line. We got to back up at the tackle, guard, and center position. So we've gotten a lot of bodies and a lot of depth. We didn't address linebacker. But again, I like this build. Now, if you can't make it out to the NFL draft in Las Vegas and party with us with Fred Warner and Elijah Mitchell, you can get your tickets at 49ersrushroadtrip.com. If you can't, make sure you tune in with us. We're going to be live days 1 and day 2 with Fred Warner on the podcast, with Elijah Mitchell on the podcast during the draft. So make sure you check it out. Hit subscribe if you haven't, and join us for days 1 and day 2 of the draft as we bring the draft to you wherever you are. So just want to say thank you, and as always, stay strong, faithful.